Okay, let's just dive right into this. Welcome to today's explainer. Today, we're going to completely demystify personal finance. You know, we want to shift your mindset from that everyday economic anxiety, which, let's face it, we all feel, to proactive total control. When the economy gets kind of rough, it's so easy to feel like things are just spiraling, right? Well, today, we are grabbing the steering wheel. We're going to build a rock-solid foundation so you can actually live well, absolutely regardless of what the markets are doing. So the big question, are we officially in a recession? Every single time you check the news or honestly just look at a grocery receipt these days, it certainly feels like it, right? It's perfectly normal to feel totally stressed about the rising cost of living and, uncertain employment. But we need to quickly pivot away from that worry and move directly toward preparation. Because here's the thing. Whether the economists say we're officially in a recession or just a downturn, your strategy for protecting yourself and your family, it remains exactly the same. So we're going to follow a 5-step blueprint together today to get there. First, the reality check. Second, the ground truth. Third, the real number. Fourth, the balancing act. And finally, the action plan. All right, let's kick things off with step 1, the reality check. This step is all about looking objectively at the current economy without hitting the panic button. It's about getting our heads in the right space so we can make smart, calculated decisions. I want you to think of your finances right now kind of like a piggy bank sitting safely under an umbrella. That is exactly what we're doing here. We are protecting ourselves from financial storms through proactive choices. Companies are always looking to save money, which unfortunately can mean layoffs. But by taking control of your finances right now, you're basically building your own umbrella so you can weather literally any storm without getting soaked. So what actually is the technical definition of the dreaded R word? Well, ask an economist and they'll tell you a recession is a decline in gross domestic product, or GDP, lasting 2 or more consecutive quarters. But here's the absolute secret. It really doesn't matter if it's officially declared or not. If your budget is tight, the downturn is 100% real to you. We define this simply to cut through all the media noise. Your preparation is what actually matters, not some official label. Moving right along to step 2, the ground truth. Before we can figure out where we're going, we have to find our exact starting point. No more guessing. The absolutely crucial part here is figuring out your net worth. This is simply taking your assets, everything you own, like cash, your home, your car, and subtracting your liabilities, everything you owe, like mortgages, auto loans, and credit card debt. And that's it. It's just a financial report card. It tells you if you've been a pretty good money manager or if you've made a few mistakes along the way. But remember, this number is just a snapshot of your finances. It is absolutely not a reflection of your self-worth as a human being. And speaking of that, please remember, do not beat yourself up. Seriously, strip away any shame associated with debt or past financial mistakes. You cannot change the past. Looking honestly at your net worth is merely the very first step toward your future financial freedom. The only things that matter right now are the decisions you make from this exact moment forward. Okay, let's jump into step 3, the real number. Now for the really fun part, we're going to do a little financial detective work. We need to uncover your true spendable income. Because if you make a $40,000 salary, I promise you, you do not actually have $40,000 in your pocket to spend. Let's walk through this painfully necessary degradation of a paycheck together. First is your gross income. Immediately, we have to subtract taxes. Federal, state, Social Security, Medicare. Poof, a huge chunk of your income is just gone. Then come traditional job expenses. These are costs you only have because you work. Things like commuting, dry cleaning, or childcare. After all of that is finally subtracted, you arrive at your net spendable income. And guys, this is the only money you actually have to work with. But wait, there's actually more. You also have hidden, non-traditional job expenses. Think about it. Are you dining out frequently because your long hours leave you just way too exhausted to cook? Or maybe you're paying for massage therapy or taking these decompression vacations just to cope with the stress of your job? These are the hidden cost of working, and they absolutely must be subtracted to find your absolute true net income. I want you to think about how this frames your daily choices. To put it into perspective, for some people, after taxes and all those job-related expenses we just talked about, netting a mere $20 might actually take nearly 3 hours of real, actual work. Time equals money, literally. So the next time you go to make a spontaneous purchase and say to yourself, it's only $20, I challenge you to look at it this way. Is that impulse buy truly worth 3 hours of your life energy? Which perfectly brings us to step 4, the balancing act. once you realize just how precious your true spendable income is, we transition to meticulously managing the money you actually have left over. We need to clearly, and I mean clearly, delineate survival essentials, your needs, from your lifestyle choices, your wants. Needs are shelter, utilities, basic groceries, and critical insurance. Now, brace yourself for a slightly harsh truth here. According to the experts, cell phones, high-speed internet, and streaming TV, those are actually classified as wants unless they are strictly required for your employment. I know, crazy, right? But they don't technically sustain life. You have to fund your needs first and only use your surplus for your wants. So, how do we make sure our needs are always met without stressing out every single month? Well, here's a fantastic, super actionable tip. Set up automatic monthly withdrawals for your required needs. Put your mortgage, your basic utilities, and your insurances on auto pay. Set it and forget it. When those are handled effortlessly in the background, you know for sure that whatever surplus is left in your checking account is officially yours for conscious, completely guilt-free discretionary spending. And finally, we arrive at step 5, the action plan. Okay, so we've done the reality check, we found the ground truth, we calculated the real numbers, and we balanced our needs. Now, let's move from just tracking numbers to actually mapping out your future dreams. To achieve those dreams, we have got to stop the hidden leaks in our surplus spending. You might remember this famous Weight Watchers mantra, if you bite it, you write it. Well, this is the ultimate rule for tracking your daily expenses too. For the next couple of months, just keep a little pocket notebook or use the Notes app on your phone. Every single time you spend your surplus cash, whether it's on a fancy coffee or going to the movies, write it down. Seriously, this simple act of awareness is an absolutely incredible deterrent to unnecessary spending. With your spending finally under control, you can channel those hard-earned resources into what matters most. Here's what I want you to do. Brainstorm 30 life goals. What do you want to do? When do you want to achieve it? What resources are actually required? And most importantly, what are you willing to do to get there? Rank them by priority. You know, A goals are your must-achieves, and B goals are your would-love-to-achieves. If you have a partner, have them do this whole exercise separately, and then compare notes to make sure your financial resources are completely aligned as a team. And that brings us to the ultimate question you have to ask yourself right now. What are you actually willing to sacrifice to turn your most important dreams into realities? Are you willing to skip the spontaneous purchases, do the hard work of tracking your expenses, and take immediate control of your financial destiny today? At the end of the day, financial planning is really just channeling your resources to accomplish what matters most in your life. The entire blueprint is right here in front of you. The very next step is entirely yours.